Was it right that American troops left Afghanistan to its fate? Probably the Afghan army is unable to the unstoppable offensive of the Taliban. Evidently it seems that the U.S. withdrawal from the conflict is similar to the withdrawal from Saigon in Vietnam. I am not an American, but I therefore observe, with a European and democratic point of view, but if you are American citizens, let me know, if the choice of American government, to withdraw U.S. troops, from Afghanistan, it was right. The Taliban are oligarchy troops, where there is not a single dictator. But they are all dictators. Even a simple soldier, can be a terrible dictator, and for Afghan women especially, and for all the free people Afghans, I do not see anything good. Yes, the fact that the U.S. government has sent 3,000 troops in recent days, to protect or take away, the Americans residing in Afghanistan, and above all, the Americans of the embassies, is already an okay action, but I do not think it will be enough, because the world, it must become a great democracy, chosen by the people, and it does not matter, whether Republicans or Democrats. The important thing, is that no mistakes are made even in foreign policy. Abroad it is intended, to protect populations, otherwise condemned to dictatorships. We in Europe, would still be, under Hitler or his descendants, if there had not been, the contribution of the American army to get Europe a free land, but also with the help of Russia. My father was Italian and until 1943 by nationality of birth, he had to serve as a soldier, in the Italian army governed by Mussolini, but in 1943 the Americans landed in Sicily, where my father was stationed, even though he was a Roman. They landed, the U.S. troops landed, in Sicily, and my dad was taken prisoner, by the immense American naval fleet, which it would have been impossible to fight. There are films documentary, of the time, where you can see my dad, with his arms raised, giving up, in order not to make his troops suffer a slaughter, and in doing so he saved the dozens of lives of his comrades. My father was taken by the Americans to North Africa in captivity, locked up in special camps, but it happened that the armistice of General Badoglio arrived in 1943, for which the Italian army no longer existed. Then the American generals asked the Italian war prisoners if they wanted to collaborate with the American army to make the landing of Normandy eventual, that was already planned. My father said yes, and became an official second lieutenant in the American army. In all respects, even if I repeat, he was Italian. It therefore happened that he was given in command 100,000 Italian soldiers that he had to select for their collaborative role, not that he had to command them all, but to listen to what they wanted to do about army collaboration with U.S. and England army. So the American command gave him infinite trust, and they took him to England, and for 2 years, he was highly decorated by the American officers, for his mastery, in managing hundreds of Italian soldiers, who adored him, because my father was able to make them do their duty, without being authoritarian. He invented 2 things, for which, again he was loved from his. One was that the military personnel under his command were woken up in the morning with music by Glenn Miller or other jazz musicians, and therefore, obnoxious trumpeter to wake them up, unwillingly so. My dad invented the radio alarm clock. The other thing, for which he was adored by his subordinate soldiers, was that if over the 24 hours, they had worked for 18 hours, in a row, then they would have had 2 days off from work service, and therefore this invention, which then lasted for as long as they remained in the American army, made his subordinates military adore him. 1 day working and 2 days off working is a magic idea. Anyway then, I'll talk about my father again, but I would like to know what you think about the fact that the U.S. military has left Afghanistan to its own fate. Wasn't it a superficial strategic move? Let me know in your comments.